Hey friends, this is Joseph Maynor. So what I want to do in this video is I want to humble all of us in this video because I'm making a very high level video here. But everything that's here has a very sneaky way of surviving. Consider that premise, including yourself. You have to include yourself in the mix. I know you don't want to do this, right? Because it undermines your power. But what power do you really have? Contemplate that. But I'm just saying that, like, you've done a lot of really sneaky, undermining things in your life too. So when this is why you obviously have shadow issues. I was thinking about this the other night. I mean, I'm talking about myself too here. I'm not just talking about others. I was looking back and I was thinking about some really sneaky things I did to other people or things they've done to me that were not nice. And it was all about them trying to shore up their own ideal survival from how they thought at that moment, right? Or just how the universe happened to come together at that moment. But it definitely shows that all of us have an evil side to ourselves. I mean, if we want to get into this good versus evil thing, which I think in part is a trap, because it hinders self-acceptance. See, when other people give you these virtue signals, that gets in the way of your own self-acceptance. The reason why they're virtue signaling is because they want to put themselves above you in some kind of a way. They want to dominate you. They want to neg you. They want you to be, like, they want to be the pimp and you're the hoe, right? They want to dominate you and to accept them as being above you, even if it involves, like, this entire, like, manipulation game that they will do. But what I want to point out to you guys is that we all do this. The person who's sanctifying themselves is doing this more so than other people. See, it's all flipped around the other way, right, than the way that you think. When you start thinking in terms of power and survival, you can see that everything that's here has a disgusting quality to it and a beautiful quality to it from your perspective. So, for example, today I was walking by a couple of cherry trees on an adjacent street in my neighborhood to go to Starbucks to get myself a coffee, which I'm kind of addicted to coffee now. But it was just a latte, a hot latte. And as I was walking down the cross street, I noticed a couple of cherry trees that were there. And they were beautiful. They were like blooming, and the little pink flowers were falling around everywhere. Just like Minecraft, right? The cherry grove in Minecraft, if you guys haven't noticed that. It was like that. And two cherry trees like right next to each other. And I was just like, oh, this is so beautiful. But this idea that life should be beautiful for you when you're ugly, or beautiful for others when you're ugly, it's like, get a clue, man, right? You don't have self-acceptance. If you don't have self-acceptance in spirituality, forget it. You're going to be on a treadmill your entire life. You're going to be listening to other people distracting you with their needs, their need to fit in, their need to have followers, their need to manipulate other people, including you. right? Because you're stupid enough to follow them. But see, in spirituality, you got to learn how to follow yourself. You got to look inside. And maybe there is no self inside, but that can't be told to you by another person. That has to be found out by yourself. I've been rattling on about this kind of theme in my videos for the last 3 videos. Like, what matters are your own virtue signals, not the virtue signals from other people in spirituality. So it's like, thanks but no thanks. I don't need your help. It's like somebody who's coming to try to help you and they want to get paid. And you're just like, thanks. You find out, thanks but no thanks. I don't need your help anymore. If ever. But then be careful of that one, because everything that's happened too, you want to accept that as being okay. Right? So, a lot of people in self-help will say, well, the past doesn't exist. I look at it like the past is the only thing that exists. I mean, if you say the past doesn't exist, you're cutting yourself off from your own history. And somebody else is going to come in and they're going to control your mind for a long time. You're going to join their community. You're going to rise up the ranks, right? Like a corporate ladder. You're going to get to the point where the boss likes you, and then you're going to have power, and you're going to feel comfortable because you have a relation with this company. But what are you really getting out of that spiritually? I could see if it was money, right? That's one thing. Or chess ELO, that's one thing. Or skills in some area for your life purpose, that's one thing. But if it's just like nothing, then you just wasted a bunch of time, didn't you? Why did you do that? Because you're addicted to approval. You place yourself, you can't mansplain. You have to have somebody else come and tell you that you're mansplaining and that that's bad. And then they're mansplaining you. You see how this power game works? It's bad enough that we can be distracted by the wrong things. It's even worse when we have people that are encouraging that. Right? Like they're encouraging you to step away from your own spirituality so that they can tell you what spirituality is to elevate themselves. Like that's not the saint, that's the devil, right? That's part of your devilry. See, what we want to do is we want to project the devil externally on the other. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to accept the devil within ourselves. See, this is what shadow work really requires. And these people never talk about shadow work, right? Of course. But this is exactly how Trump operates, or how the pimp operates too, right? How the masculine manipulative operates to create this fantasy or this illusion for weaker-minded people that they're sitting on top of a hierarchy. And some people will say, well, the feminine wants that. Well, I would say yes and no. Like the feminine is trying to integrate the masculine, but they definitely don't want to be distracted by the masculine or sidelined by the masculine or treated badly by the masculine either. No female prostitute wants a pimp. The pimp is like the guy who's like manipulating them. Like I'm your strength, I'm your love, I'm your, the guy, it's like, but actually the pimp is the bitch. The pimp is a weak man. And the woman, what he's doing, he's like this weak, spoiled brat man who's mooching off the fact that he has a woman who's willing to work. You see how inverted that is in a way? Where the pimp is actually the bitch, which is probably the way that he's able to fool the feminine. because he's gay in a way, and the feminine feels sorry for him and so keeps him there. But this is all tricky manipulation shit, because what he's doing is he's hitching his wagon to her as the moneymaker in an inverse way. That's not a real man. That's not an alpha. That's a very feminine man. A man who's connected to relation, connected to being felt sorry for, where the woman actually takes the masculine perspective and is like, I'm going to take care of this guy like he's a baby, right? Or she feels sorry for him. That's the trick there. There's no way that that's alpha at all. That's very beta. It's kind of like alpha beta in a way. It's like, taking the feel sorry for me, I'm the wounded bird, not having to work at all, but sitting there laughing at the fact that like your woman is working, making all the money, and you're sitting back and you're just, you're just sweeping the floor a little bit, you're doing a couple little things for her, but really you're the bitch is the guy. She's the man. See. Do you see how these power games work? Every system is trying to survive. Every system is lying to survive in its own way. It's manipulating perceptions of node and link in order to try to sustain its survival or improve its survival. Period. And all this crosstalk is just nonsense. I mean, from a spiritual standpoint, because it's like, once you realize that everything that's here is doing this, all talk about it in a way just becomes like rubbing salt in the wound. You pedestalizing yourself as some kind of a saint is just foolish, right? You're basically trying to attract flies to your flypaper as a good person, but you're no different than anything else that's here. Nothing here is morally righteous, or else it wouldn't be here. That's an ideal. That's a masculine ideal, this moral righteousness thing. And when you're selling that to other people, it's like selling religion to other people. You're selling hope to other people so that they can become attracted to you, your kind of persona, give you money, make you wealthy, and then they're like addicted to you, like a girlfriend who doesn't have her head screwed on tight is addicted to a manipulative man who does have his head screwed on tight, but he's like a Trump or a Elon Musk or somebody like that, who's just like, all about like, I have money, I have power, and that's good in and of itself. No, you're just like a loud voice is all you are. It's like something that like like create like a firework, right? You're a firework, everybody's like, woo, woo, right? But there's really, it's just you're a spectacle. And by creating a spectacle, you create people who think that you have something that could give them more power. And so they become attracted to you. But you see, really, this all gets in the way of your own spirituality and your own personal development work. But there's, like, if we're going to relate with other people, we're going to have to experience this. But at some point, you have to realize it was my need to connect. It was my loneliness, my need to fantasize about things, that you wasted so much time there when you really could have just been taking those very practical steps that would have improved your own life. That's the tragedy of it. But it's really, you can't look at your life as a tragedy either. If you look at your life as a tragedy, it's almost like you're going against reality and truth. See, you're too judgmental about things. You got to let it go. You got to let it go. You got to let the past go in that way. Everything I've done has to be good, or else I wouldn't be the person I am today. Obviously, my being felt the need to integrate what it did. And who's to say why that happened? It could have been for the benefit of myself or for others, or who knows, right? You have to let it go. But I think moving forward, you also have to realize too how everything that's here is playing this kind of a game. Even spiritual enlightenment people, right? They're obviously playing this manipulative game where they're trying to hard sell you in a way that they are an authority in spirituality for you. This is like somebody saying 2 + 2 = 5. And you're like, wait a minute, I don't think so. And they're like, no, it is. You just don't realize it yet. Right? I'm going to show you, like, as we have a further relationship, I'm going to show you and sell you on the idea that 2 + 2 = 5. I mean, that's just an analogy of what I'm trying to point to right here. It's based on hope. Like, oh, I found this person who's going to help me get to know me better. Or do those things that I want to do for my life better. And then you get sucked into the community, right? You get sucked into the arguments, you get sucked into the drama, to the politics, and ultimately you might become kind of like the teacher's pet, right? You might become part of the people that the manipulator wants around them to support them, right? Then you're asking yourself, like, what am I getting from this, and how is that benefiting my spirituality and those few things that I want to do for my life to improve my life? Like, that person got a great deal out of you, right? They got to just kind of dominate you or neg you or tell you that you're not enough or that they know better than you, and you fell right in line, didn't you? Isn't this person sort of like, very much like Trump? See, and they're going to say that Trump is evil, right? Because they're going to not like this about themselves. But they can't change either. That's who they are. So be careful of at least Trump is honest, right? He's not kind of hiding who he is. Be careful of the covert Trump, right? The person who's going to tell you, I don't like Trump, but then they're going to act exactly like Trump too. That's the person you have to be really careful about, the sneaky person. Or the person who's like, I don't like, I'm all about no self, no ego. But then you look at this person, you realize this person is the most narcissistic person I've ever come into contact with, right? But they're so sneaky about, in a way, it's kind of like social camouflaging. It's an indirect, it's like if we're playing chess, these people are like positional chess players. They're sneaky. They'll strangle you. Right? They'll get you to where, like, you can't move any of your pieces. They're not the person who's going to come and checkmate you. They're the person who's going to get you to where you can't move any of your pieces. Right? Like a snake. And they'll get you, if anything goes wrong, they'll get you to think that you did something wrong. Very snake-like. This is very snake-like power. Trump is not snake-like. Trump is honest, open, and honest. So in a way, love or hate the guy, he's not hiding anything, really. He lies. He doesn't hide the fact that he lies. What's even sneakier is somebody who cloaks themselves in like a religious terminology, right? Spiritual terminology, but they're engaging in this like kind of snake-like behavior, almost like they're trying to manipulate like a naive girl, like a guy who like a loser, like the loser boyfriend who gets with like a naive, like good-hearted girl. And he has to convince the girl to stay with him. And maybe he even starts like asking her for money. He doesn't work, right? He's just on drugs, laying around the house. And she ends up feeling like this guy is some kind of a guru. And she ends up supporting this guy like he's a somebody. Like he's better than her. You see this very snake-like dark energy, right? That some systems will use to survive. And they're so sneaky about this that they will hide this. They'll do it, but they won't draw attention to it. And then they'll project a persona that is the exact opposite of this. Okay, friends, so I'm going to take a break. I'll come back. We'll do the final 10 minutes. So just give me 1 second. All right, friends, welcome back. So if you've never seen that movie, The Hunter, with Robert Mitchum, it's a black and white movie, like old time movie, where he's like this felon, and then he like convinces all these small town people that he's this like preacher. And there's this woman who, it reminds me of Osho in a way. I don't know anything about Osho, but like he convinces this woman to get with him, and they do these like revivals. You guys should watch this movie. It's like such a profound movie. It's called The Hunter. One of the best movies along this sort of manipulation of morality and religion and spirituality to basically survive off of other people's money. I mean, how good do you feel like when you're going to Vegas and like one of these Buddhist monks come up to you and is like trying to like push their something on you for money? You realize this person is just a high-class beggar, right? So there's a lot of that, actually. And I'm not making fun of, I'm not saying this is how all Buddhist people behave, but I'm just saying that, like, I even had this feeling too when I went to Taiwan and I saw a couple of Buddhist monks out there with their bowl. I'm like, this guy would be just a beggar in San Francisco where I live. Like, that's no way to live. Like, we're in a world that's governed by survival and power, right? And I realized the reason why people gave that guy money is because they felt sorry for him, not because they viewed him as living a higher consciousness life. And actually, he's doing that because that's his way of surviving. Your ego, you've confused God with your ego here. God is not your ego. Everything you've done in your life has been in service of your own survival, including all the running of your mouth, all your actions. We've all done shitty things. I was looking back at some things that I've done that were very shocking and unfair to people because I felt like I had the ability to do that. And people have done the same to me. And up until recently, I was feeling a lot of moral outrage against those people. And it's been recently, I've had this kind of awakening where I've realized having sustainable love requires a power move in reality. And you have to be willing to play that game, or something has to be willing to play that game, even if it's not, you're under your free will. If you're not playing that game, you're not going to get that thing. Think about it. Walking out in nature, you will die at some point. You will have no water. You will have no food. but it's beautiful, right? Be careful with this, like trying to find beauty, this excuse of like, oh, you should just look at the beauty of life. Look, man, diarrhea on a toilet seat is never going to be beautiful, ever. It's not going to smell beautiful. It's not going to be beautiful. Stop fooling yourself there. See, beauty is just you're egoically basically just doing what smells good to you. And you're trying to cloak it in some higher thing like aesthetics or beauty or something like that. No, beauty is just what feels good to you. The status quo for you, you having the ability to survive the way that you have without making any kind of change. That's beautiful to you and to others too, right? But I really do believe that you have to get outside of all this moralizing, this religious shit, God, all this crap. Look, spirituality is about getting honest about your life. You can do religion, make that a separate thing. You can do philosophy, make that a separate thing. You can do self-help, make that a separate thing. But when it comes to spirituality, you have to see that there's an infinite way to describe myself in the past. But the present is just here, and the future is undetermined. And so, if I can learn to accept, from a spiritual perspective, and we're talking about spirituality, if I can learn to accept myself, warts and all, without listening to anybody else, and also very clearly understand what I want to do to aid my survival moving forward, and listen to the better side of my nature, that'll give me some hope. And then hopefully I can create some enthusiasm where I can actually create a purpose or a life purpose to do those things, which may or may not include career. So life purpose is different than career life purpose. So life purpose is about having a purpose in your life to do those things that you know are good for you, that you want to do. And these can be very low-level things, like having a roof over your head, or having friends that are actually, don't want something from you. They want to give to you. They don't want to give to you like you're like money. They want to give joy to you, like you want to give joy to each other. I mean, that's a friend. And a friend isn't somebody you're interacting with on the internet, right? A friend is somebody who you hang out with in real life. I mean, you could have people that you interact with on the internet too, but I would recommend, like, you don't know what those people look like. You don't know what their lifestyle is like, right? Be very, very careful of friendship online. Very, very disappointing things can happen when you can realize this person's been deceptive, right? You don't know who's behind any of these online avatars. And you might. I'm not saying never say never. But I think you want to get outside of this noisy game of somebody wanting to get you to doubt yourself, to question yourself, and then they never question themselves, and they're always on top. Well, that's clearly a power game instigated by them, whether they know that or not, on others. And I think teachers do this. A lot of teachers do this. And they have to do this because this is the way they make money. Maybe they can figure out a way not to do this, but what I want to do in this video is I just want to talk about power, subtle power. An introduction to subtle power. Okay, thank you, friends. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.